Gotta love a bit of Johnny. He's so good. Yeah, we're on the same page, Crystal. How good is he? I think back to Johnny Farnham, John Williamson were two of my, that's what I grew up listening to. And I think both of them are just such incredible voices for Australia right now. It's pretty cool. Growing up with him, absolutely. It's great to be on with you all tonight. It'd be awesome to know where you're joining us from around Australia. Let us know. I know we've got some peeps on Facebook as well. But we're excited. This is something the name of tonight, Empower Hour, came to me not that long ago. 3 hours ago. I had a moment of inspiration and just thought, you know what, we need to just have a regular kind of check-in with you guys and just see how you're doing. We love being able to get face-to-face with people as well, and just be able to just check in and see how you're doing and how we might be able to help give you a little bit of guidance, just be around some like-minded people as well. Wow.
Josh Muckenbudden.
Wow.
Did I
Western
say that
Australia.
properly?
That's cool. Kerry's
Awesome,
from the
man.
Gold Coast, Nick's in Townsville. We've got Broadbeach. Amazing. Muck in Buden. Wow.
Muck in Buden.
I love it.
People must come to Australia and go, no, that's a made-up name. No doubt it has some original people meaning to it.
I believe so.
We grew up in Ballina, which was Bullina, which meant where oysters are plentiful. And is that? I remember that from year 8 project.
Bundjalung tribe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Home of the Booty Rats.
Booty rats, amazing.
There you go. Alrighty, so this is Q&A. We have been known to talk. I got to reel Kate back in all the time. She just goes off on tangents.
It's actually the other way around, but that's okay. But we wanted to be able to just answer some questions, whatever's on your heart, and give you some insight into maybe some things you can be doing, some things you can be listening to, maybe better questions you might be able to be asking yourself to help kind of shift your focus as well. Because I think one of the things that we've been chatting a lot about is how easy it is. You right there? He's our tech guru.
Cool.
Are you okay there?
Well, there we go. Now we can see the comments.
Great. Awesome. Okay. All right. So Rowena's in Southwest Victoria. Amazing. Big love to you guys. Hey, Shan. Good to see you, honey.
Julie's here, not arrested.
Hey, Jules. Good
I know
stuff.
some of the other people in our academy got arrested today around the Vic market. So, yeah, some crazy stuff happening. This is really up to you guys. I know that we started this journey about 25 years ago around just wanting to, I guess, squeeze the juice out of life. We both have had a huge value of growth and learning and then kind of teaching as well. But it came from a void. You know, we grew up and I valued being fit, and I thought that was health. And then I almost died of meningococcal when I'd just been, lifeguarding and playing soccer at a high level and in the army and studying exercise physiology. And so the void created the value. And so we've really been on that path of comprehending what not just gets someone well, but what keeps them well for an entire lifetime. And so, initially it's all about food and exercise. That's where you kind of think it's all at. And then went through really tough time losing my mum and what that meant and going, okay, but why? We've had thousands of people from around the world come to us and help them. But the person that I wanted to help most, my mum, I couldn't. But then it pressed us to go deeper and look at the emotional components and the spiritual components. And really, we're continually learning, and this is our sweet spot. This is our zone of genius where we get to learn things and then teach it to masses in the hope that they might hear one thing that just makes their life a little bit more inspired, a little bit easier, a little bit, not easier, more progressive,
flow,
where they're growing.
Interestingly enough, Anthony got a message from a patient of his from from, can you not do that?
That in your life.
From 7 years ago, a chiropractic patient that he took care of, and he found a letter that Anthony had written to him as his chiropractor. And he just said, I wanted to thank you for like giving me the kick up the butt, 7 years ago to get me on my health path, which is really, really cool. So I was like,
and he showed the letter and I read it. I'm like, oh my gosh, who is this guy? I was very abrupt. But in saying that, sometimes love is not giving people what they want, it's giving them what they need.
Yeah, totally. The other thing, I guess, that we're kind of an open book and we're here to talk about anything. We had our 3 babies at home naturally. So I know I'm speaking to a lot of, actually I got a beautiful email from a mama earlier this week saying that, with everything going on in the world, she was really questioning whether or not to have another baby. Like, do I want to bring another baby into this world with all of this stuff going on? And she just said some of the things that you and Anthony have been sharing, it gives me hope. And, I've been chatting to my partner and we want to have another bub. And I was just like, oh my goodness. And I think, there's so many things that perpetuate fear in our world, whether it's not trusting our amazing body's ability to heal and function its best, or, have a healthy pregnancy, or heal from different challenges, or be able to follow our passion. There's so many things that are letting us know you can't do that, and having us question our intuition. And, that's just, I guess, what we are really excited to just give you guys some insight and some encouragement to not be second guessing yourself. If there's a voice inside that's saying, hey, this doesn't feel right, or I'm not fulfilled doing this, there's something more for me, but I don't know what it is, that it's okay to follow that. And whether it's going against the grain where family might not understand some of your choices, we've absolutely been there as well. I remember when we were chatting to my mum was a nurse, and she did not have great pregnancies or births, and so for her, when we started to chat about how we were going to have our kids at home, it was like, oh, I'm not sure about that. And your family, there was absolutely, they knew that there was nothing they could do that would change our mind, but they weren't exactly fully on board with it. And now over the years, they completely see, wow, oh my gosh, this is amazing, and are complete advocates for it. But at the time, sometimes when you make a decision around anything, a career move, how you want to raise your kids, some people are picking up from Melbourne and they're heading to the Sunshine Coast. I've had some messages from people, literally, I know Phil is moving this week. He's like, we're heading north. So some of these... We
don't have rooms. We've had several people ask, do you have room for us?
Yeah, sorry. We
there's a beautiful park next to us where you could probably get away with that for a couple of nights.
Oh, hey, Bernie, good to see you on, hun. So I think, you're going to make decisions in life where there's people that might... I think we've learned that for a good amount of time, I definitely held other people's opinion in a higher esteem than my own decisions. And I didn't want to necessarily rock the boat or lose friendships or, cause conflict. But if you don't make decisions that are in alignment for yourself and your family, you really, then the conflict is internal. And that's way worse. It's way worse than actually having external. So you really want to make sure that with whatever choice is next for you in whatever part of life, that you're making the decisions for yourself, not because of someone else's opinion of what you should or shouldn't be doing. And we've certainly made many decisions over the years that we've had not necessarily everyone supported or understood at the time, and then as time progresses, it's like that was the right decision for us and for our family, and now people around us can appreciate and understand that as well. So it's just helping you guys find what you stand true for, so that you can live more of that versus trying to appease everyone's opinions, because you're never going to keep everyone happy.
You're a real talker tonight. It's good.
It might have been we're child free tonight, and I'm having a red wine with my dinner. So, cheers, cheers to that. So, did you want to share anything?
Oh, I can talk for sure.
Great.
I think the reason this topic is so dear to us is because it's made the most profound difference.
Hey Nick, hey Sharon.
And what I mean by that, hey Crystal, is you think about all through your childhood, how much you are encouraged to get it right, not make mistakes. Like you get marked down if you make a mistake. And so you might be in a classroom setting or in a sporting setting, and you do something and you get laughed at, or the teacher says something and you want to shrink. You just want to fit in. Like the worst thing you want to do, especially as you go through your teen, is I just want to fit in. Okay, because you want to belong, you want to feel like you're part of something. And you think about, you end up going to a school just because in that area, that's where the kids live, and that's the school that you go to. And so you're living in accordance with their values. And so because you want, and so you end up adopting values that aren't necessarily yours. And then you have well-meaning, whether it's, Josh, is that a pigeon on your shoulder? That is
cool.
Awesome, dude. So you have, like a squirrel. And so you might have, teachers or an aunt or a parent or someone who you look up to, and they say, you should do this because that's important to them. Or society kind of dictates, this is how you should be, to be a good boy or a good girl. And so you start taking on these beliefs, and if there's a part of you that's still in tune and you have this gut instinct and this gut feel, you're probably the kid who plays up, acts out, bit naughty, bit rebel, questions things, because it's like we're not going to indoctrinate that out of you. But for so many societies, that the system is profound. The system is amazing at, keeping all the people in the box. You live in the box, you watch the box, you drive in the box to get to the other box to work on the box. So you kind of boxed in, and you don't have this life where you get to be free and creative and all of that. So when we observe, what's happened, not just over the last 5 months, what I love about the last 5 months is it's shining the light on that which already existed. The silly decisions, the big pharma, big banks, decisions being made by people in power who should never have been there because they got voted in because of who they know. Like that has always been there. The pedophilia, like it's always there. And now it's just like light is being shone upon it, and people will naturally react in one of two ways because of the upbringing and who they innately were. And one is, I just want to stick with what's familiar and I want to be in flow, and the TV said this, and so that's where I go. And so I either just go with the narrative of what's happening, or boom, I stick my head in the sand.
Yeah, like you said, Nellie, many look the other way.
And then sometimes it's so dark, it's so like I can't even comprehend it, and so I've just got to dissociate to it. And that's an incredible skill to have. The other day, little Bodie, he's 10, and he slammed his own hand in the door.
He's quite talented.
And he comes running in, and he's like, and the poor little fella. But it was really cool because we launched a challenge. I'm starting to add several tangents. They will all come back together. We did a challenge. We set out this challenge called the I'm Brave Challenge. You may have seen it. You may have gone through it. But it was all around taking people from fear to courage. Because if you put your fingers on the pulse of humanity right now, the common or the dominant emotion is fear. Worry, doubt, anger, judgment. All those kind of lower resonating emotions. And so I'm Brave is inspired, motion, breath, resonate, affirmations, vision, and elicit. So it's a recipe, literally 7 pieces of the pie that people can do to get themselves from a low vibration to a high vibration. So in the B day, we taught 3 breathing techniques. But afterwards, a lady had this beautiful, it was this little blonde little girl, and she had just slammed her hand in the door. And the mum's filming it, and she said, "Oh, mama," and she's getting her to say, "I am strong.
Yeah.
I am brave. I am worthy." And the little girl is just repeating it back.
So beautiful.
And it's just like, oh, it makes you melt. And so I'll post it on my
I shared
Facebook.
it on my page the other day, actually.
If you watch it and you want it handy if you have kids. So I put it up for Bodhi, and he's gone from like, yeah, and he's watching this little girl, and just everything went away. And so I tell you this because your ability to dissociate from pain is a good skill to have, okay?
I actually...
In the short term.
Absolutely.
But if it's something that's going to be perpetuating, like this stuff, the darkness that's going on the planet right now is not going away. And so I had this thought, and I'll come back to you, I promise.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because I had this thought the other day. If you were in your house, and your children are in your house, and everything you'd work for, everything you had a value is in... Oh, Kelly shared it. That's right. Thank you for that. It made a huge difference. So thank you. So you're asleep in your house, and your children are there, and everything you hold dear to you is in the house. And people are in there, and they are taking right under your nose everything that you hold dear. And you have a choice, because people are like knocking on the door, trying to wake you up. And I don't like the wake thing, but trying to make you aware. And you have the choice. You can either go, oh, it's scary. If I get up, what could happen? I would have to get up, and I might have to put myself in a perceived harm's way. And so all these people, they're just like, that is not comfortable. I'm just going to tuck more under the doona here and just hope the authorities, the people, there's other people who will take care of that. And the challenge for those people is when they wake up, because you're going to have to wake up at some stage. And when you wake up in the morning, sometime it's going to be too late. Like everything that you valued and you work for and you honor, it's gone. And so this is where, if I bring this full story back, 6 years ago we did a documentary, and that came out of several years prior, probably 5 years prior. We had this vision, and we're writing these things down in a journal, this red journal. We're by a pool in Bali. And we had an hour of our time because the kids finally decided they would go to kids club. And when we're on vacation, that's what we do. It's not like, we have fun as well, but at that phase of our life, it was all about how do we save the world. And we wrote one line, someday we're going to make a movie. And anyway, 6 years ago, that opportunity came about. And we made this documentary called Overfed and Undernourished. And it was about exposing a global epidemic. It's literally is what the tagline is. And it's like one boy's journey, global epidemic. And I kind of forgot about that till someone reminded me. I got a message yesterday of someone saying, hey, I just watched this from the UK or somewhere. It's amazing. Thanks, Tony. I am so excited to have children now where I wasn't. And I looked back at that and I went, we've been doing this for a while now. We've been exposing the problem with pandemics, epidemic stuff that's going on, but not just to go, here's the problem, 20%, but here's the solution. Here's what you can actually do. Here are the remedies. So when this situation arose in the last 4 or 5 months, and we were seeking our own answers, okay, is this really going to challenge the human physiology of people who are well? Let's just see if there is some basis in that, and if there is, what can we do? What can we take control of? Because authorities have never done it for us. Let's just agree with that. All right? They put asbestos in our buildings and said cigarettes are okay, and said thalidomide is fine for our babies, and put fluoride in our water and all this stuff. And so you got to get that they're not doing the right thing by you. And so you kind of have to take that responsibility, which means your ability to respond instead of following the masses. Most of the people who are listening to this, it's because you were the kid who didn't follow exactly what you're told. And you had this air of suspicion, and you stuck with your gut feeling, and you listened to it, and you listened to your intuition. And so that's why now you smelt a rat early. People who are coming to it now, when the media is starting to report what's going on and Crazy Dan's doing his stuff, it's very easy for people to go, yeah, I don't think this is right now. All right. And so that's why, we're in the thick of this. We love it. We're literally most waking hours finding solutions for people, whether it's a remedy to deal around their rights or just to bring them back and realize your body is incredible. You have this incredible wisdom, this innate intelligence inside of you, and you were put on this earth with a unique set of gifts and talents that only you can fulfill. And when you are doing that, not only are you inspired in spirit, the people around you who are watching you, observing you, are also inspired. When I say that, I think of Michael Jordan. Because when I was growing up, I didn't like basketball, I didn't care for it. But when I saw him fly through the air, I got the poster. I got the basketball. And I was just in awe of who he was. And it's not because I like basketball. I think it's crazy. People get paid millions of dollars to throw a ball through a hoop. That really affects no one's life. When you just break it down. I know I'm offending people.
But you were inspired.
But I was inspired just by seeing, and it was because of this, or Larry Bird, or whoever it is. So whoever it might be for you, when you watch someone and they're in their sweet spot, they're in their zone of genius, they're exercising their superpowers, that only came about because they were challenged. So we go through life and we have this false sense that it's going to be butterflies and rainbows. But nature doesn't grow like that. Nature grows because there's an equal amount of support and an equal amount of challenge. And when someone challenges your values, it's like challenging your muscle. That's what makes it grow. And so I'm getting tapped here.
I'm going to tap you because, first of all, I would love, if you have a question, because he is going to talk all night if you let him.
I can feel space.
Yeah, he does that really well. So please, if you have a question, I want you to pop into the chat because I'd love to be specific tonight to help empower you in whatever's going on. And then Juliana, you asked, where can you watch our documentary? If you go onto iTunes, you can rent.
Go to dreamlifestylers.com.
Well, it's still the link to iTunes. So.
Yeah, but I want people to see the other cool stuff we've done.
Okay, great. You can check out dreamlifestylers.com, or you can go to iTunes and you can rent or download, so you can check it out there. But let's bring it back to, because now sport, we do get inspired, but it is like you said, it's because we're seeing people in their sweet spot, in their zone of genius. And I think learning as we've grown as parents, because it's something that we're all kind of got our L plates on, regardless of how many kids you've got and how old they are. To be a good parent, it's not just giving your kids what they want all the time, right? If you just give them what they want all the time, then they're in a position where when hardship happens, they're going to just melt. They will not be able to handle it. We want to create resilience. We want to create grit. We want to, all these people that have really shone, call it, whether it's been in golf or surfing or basketball or soccer, business. That's happened because there's been pressure. You needed to be disciplined. You needed to have consistency, like all of these things. There's a reason for that. So let's get into some questions. So Daphne, if we're already in the Academy, do we need to do anything else? You are absolutely no, Daphne. Welcome to the Academy. We're super excited. For those of you that don't know, we created an Academy, an extra, a community of people to be able to, that we can deep dive in all of this stuff with. And so the doors close to that tomorrow night at midnight. So Daphne, excited to have you a part of that, and you'll gain access to everything tomorrow. So if you check your email, there was something sent out to you this afternoon. But I'd love to be able to, I'd love to know how you're homeschooling your 3 kids. Awesome. Happy to talk about that.
Hey, Kendall. What a great question. You got time? So it goes back a little way. My eldest, Xavier.
Our eldest, is it just yours?
He's my boy when he's good. Look what your son's done. Look what your son's done.
Does anyone else do that? Yeah.
So he very artistic, creative. He's like a baby whisperer in the neighborhood.
And with animals, he just has this
very intuitive. He'll come up and give you a cuddle right at the right time. And so he's in year 5.
At
and
the time, yeah.
I guess early on, he must have done something that the class laughed at. And that is like, oh, bing, 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 you know, love going off, heart going off, all. And so I can relate. And so he's like, that's it, I'm going to be the funny kid. But he kind of got stuck at about a 6-year-old humour. And so when he's now in year 5, it's not funny, and it just gets under everyone's nerves.
What's your humour
He's
age?
very.
Like that?
I don't care. I don't care if people laugh.
Really?
I think I'm
I know,
hilarious,
it's amazing.
which is beautiful because I don't even need the response. I'm just like, that is some funny shit. So he. I didn't say it because there's children on.
Yes.
Sharon's
Okay.
daughter's on there.
Yes, she is.
So, where was I? But he's very kinesthetic as well, okay? Hands-on. And I was in the class every other week trying to come up with solutions, and the teacher was amazing. He was genuinely like, can we do this? What about this? And the last meeting I had, it was kind of like, do you have any other ideas? He's like, nah. I'm like, I'm going to take him out of school. You can't do that. You can't. Do you have any other ideas? No. Well, let's just try it. So I pulled him out. He was in agreement. That's the thing. I shouldn't say I pulled him out. We had the discussion. He's like, no.
Xavier chose.
Not loving it at all.
Yeah.
And took him out. And the very first thing I did is also the very first lesson we do with people in the academy. And that was to go through a series of questions to elicit what his highest values were. And so at the end of that, to see the light go off where he realized the things they're doing at school are not his highest values, they're not his gifts, not his talents. But these things that we came up with, like he's incredible at,
Yeah.
he will do all day.
Yeah, there's
You
no
know,
convincing.
If
or
we
talking him
we
through.
go, for example, to the snow, first lift, last lift, everyone's left and he's still in the snow. And so he is like no pee break, no food break, just he's go, go, go. So that's important for him. So you can't say he has a deficit of attention because he's attentive to that thing all day.
And one of the things that we don't like is labels. You know, I look at, you know, the way some people can label, whether it's a doctor with a diagnosis, whether it's someone around, you know, an ADD, ADHD kind of thing. You pop that label on someone and it's either someone's going to go, well, I don't believe that, or they take it on board and they become that even more. So I think, yeah.
Well, it's like the
you don't
witch
even
doctor.
buy food that has labels. I love that, Josh.
It's like the witch doctor would point the bone and the person would die to the day.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. When a person gets a diagnosis, which by the way, gnosis is to know and die is to. So I don't know. When a person gets a diagnosis, it's the best guess available according to the tests that were done. But if you look in the New England Journal of Medicine, no, it might be the British Journal of Medicine, one of the two, but very reputable. They literally admit 70% of the tests that they do are false positive. In other words, oh, you have this. Oh, whoops, no, you don't.
Sorry about that.
But meantime, you've got the pill for every ill. Don't get me started on that. So back to Xavier. So take him out, and he's just to go. I'm like, this is the purpose of life. You were put here to grow, to learn, to grow, and you're going to grow in the things that you love to do, and you'll be happy as a result of that. You're not here to be happy. You are happy when you are growing and you are learning and you are doing the thing that you love. And it's not like right now, our children aren't here, okay? We've had a beer, we've had a wine, we could be doing other special things, but we choose to be here in front of you because it's truly what lights us up.
Because we love it.
Yeah. And if I'm good, maybe we could do that after. So
anyway, no, what I
so
wanted
anyway,
to say, no, it's my turn.
Nelly, your face. No, I'm not finished.
No.
So highest values, and to see his little face literally in that instant of doing that process, he is just like, chest is puffed up and going, I am really good at those things. And I love the Einstein quote, which I never get exactly right, but you'll get the gist. If a fish judges its worth based on its ability to climb a tree, it'll spend its whole life thinking it's worthless.
Stupid, yeah.
And so children are getting to this point where it's like, if I don't get that grade and I'm not the best at that, and there's only several things that I'm exposed to. So the reason I said that, how we find
No, it's my turn
I
now.
haven't answered the question.
I know, you're taking too long. It's your
No,
turn.
give me two.
No, what I wanted to say is this applies to a kid.
But I haven't answered the question.
I know, it happens a lot. I'm used to
No,
it.
let me wrap it up, then you can go.
Well,
so how are we going with homeschooling? The very first thing we did is that process
listed his
with all
values.
of our children.
Yes.
Because then they identified their own curriculum. And what I mean by that is they identify, I'm good at this, I'm good at that. I'm going, that's what's called your craft. And that's probably something, you know exactly what you're going to do, but you're going to continue to head in that direction of life. So Bodhi, he wants to be a pilot. Probably not the best career path based on what's going on in the world right now. But he may end up doing something to do with that. Okay?
Yeah.
It's because he loves freedom. It's because he loves autonomy. There's things around that. And with Xavier, how's this? He will game all day. Yeah, fighter pilot. Yeah.
No.
He will game all day. He will do Minecraft. He will, and I'm like, this does not sit well with my values. But now, when we did the process, I said, you love shooting things, right? And you love surfing. You love skiing. You love riding dirt bikes. We love watching Red Bull TV. Said, what if you, this is my turn. So,
I'm going to get,
Daniel,
it's a really good idea.
get out your sounds.
Okay.
So,
I'm going to buzz you. I'm going to time you out.
Wait. Okay, go.
No, I'm going to, you start talking and then I'll buzz you out.
No.
This is when you need to be quiet.
Okay, go, try it.
I'm going to start using that from now on if you talk for too long. Because I have something to say.
Okay, but let me finish
And
the story.
Bethany, hey Bethany, she wants to hear what I have to say.
I love Kate too. So I said to you, you love shooting things. What if you, and you're very creative, what if you shot through photographs? What if you shot through video? And you could just see typically with a gun. And I said, I shifted, what about with a camera? And so we did this little thing. We're building an office out the back. So you wait till you see our studio. And so we do this thing where we wrote our goals all over the walls before we painted them. And the thing that he wrote is, I'm going to be a world-renowned photographer.
Videographer, yeah.
So he gets to be creative. He gets to shoot things. He gets to, all day, he will watch YouTube videos on how the gimbal works that I do not have time for or care for. So I know in the next 6 months, he'll be our videographer. He'll make the most incredible. The first video, shout out to him. Is it Xavier
Xavier.Gole.
with a Z.
Yeah.
Go like his stuff. Go watch his first video that he made.
It's pretty cool.
So how's our homeschooling going? It's pretty good.
It's my turn to speak. You get to shush.
I need to go and get some more beer.
I'm going to bring a little bit of context to it because I think for some people it's like, well, I don't know how I would do that. And when we actually spoke to the New South Wales homeschooling department, obviously it's different in each state, what we learnt was that there's actually the amount of contact hours required by the system is actually not that much. And, it's really interesting, when I say not that much, kind of like 10 to 12 hours a week. And if you can find a way to teach your children through their passions. So, for example, if it's, they need to do some maths, we'll have them cook. And it's teaching them skills that are actually going to... I remember being in high school... You suck!
The time is already...
No! Oh my gosh. I remember being in school going, when am I ever going to need the Pythagoras theorem? Maybe I've used it once.
Well, I want to hear, right now, put in what percentage of what you learnt at school you apply right now. What percentage?
I didn't learn about business. Yeah, life skills. Yeah, it is about life skills. I didn't learn about business. I'm really good. We can do maths on our phone. And I don't want to negate the power of friendships and all of those things in school. It's great. But if we can start learning about things that are going to empower the next generation, whether they're still in school and you're doing this on top of that, or whether you choose to homeschool, I think there's just a lot of power in giving your kids that path as well. So yeah, 10%, Luke says, not much, 20%.
It depends where you get to. Michael, who's listening, chiropractor, incredible chiropractor in Melbourne. So, you know, if you end up being academic, you're going to apply some more of your sciences and your maths and that kind of thing. So please don't take out of context what we're saying.
But a lot of people that in school, I saw Bibi mention before, school was frustrating for her. She didn't really fit into the box. And, you know, her energy is amazing. And so in a classroom, it could be a little disruptive to all the others that like to sit at the desk. So I just think it's really important that, and this goes for whether you're sitting in a desk job, like, and that's not your personality. It's just as you grow up through life too. There's some questions if you want to go into the chat up the top there. No, the other one. To be able to look and go, well, is what I'm doing right now in alignment with who I am and my values? And is it causing friction and conflict? And if it is, what can I do differently? What can I learn? How can I upskill? What can I, you know, be a part of that's going to help give me a direction or an avenue to kind of really dive into that space too? So scroll up. I think there was maybe one question above Jules, and then
no, that was
okay.
Kendall asked
Julie's
But to wrap up, I guess that before we move on to something else. We were very deliberate. I was a chiropractor. I was an exercise physiologist. We had 5 centers. The goal was 100. The wheels fell off. It was not fun. And we started an online business, online wellness program, and it went really, really well. And so in 3 years, what we had created online was about what we were creating through our centers. And so I never thought that I wouldn't be a chiropractor. I loved it. I literally pitched myself at 90, you know, doing my last adjustment on someone as I die. Like, I loved it. I loved teaching. I loved the hands-on aspect, just getting to witness absolute miracles. And then again, because of governing bodies and you can't say this, you can't do that, you can't see that person, I'm like getting strangled. And then my 3 children, I'd either be at work thinking of them or with them going, what should be going on at work? And I thought, I can't have the best of both worlds. I just didn't know. Anyway, we managed to create something online. 3 years ago, I stepped away from practice. And so now we are both at home. So logistically, it's a lot easier. I'm a night owl. I turn on about now and I'll go through sometimes 12, 1 o'clock. Kate, she'll hop up in the morning, and so I'll spend the majority of the day with the kids and doing the stuff that they love. But the other thing, the tip I would give you if you are considering it, I said to them, in the future, regardless of what happens, what do you think would be very important for you to know about? And it took a little bit of coaxing, but they came up with things like, well, how the body works. I'm like, that's a good answer. So let's make physiology actually knowing what the body does and the systems and how the intelligence of our body functions. So that's a core topic.
Versus the food pyramid.
And I said, well, what about, you know, when we go on holidays and we do all this stuff that we do, how can we do that? So, oh, you money. I said, but how do we make money? So, you help people. I said, would that be important for you to know how money actually works, how the banking system works and currency? And so that's a core topic. All right. And then of late, it's like, you know, we're very conscious in what we allow them, gosh knows what they really see, but what they comprehend of what's happening in the world right now.
Yeah.
But you might have seen, and if you haven't, find our parenting little topic we did the other week, where we spoke about being very open with sharing our feelings, not by going, I'm angry or I'm sad, because you're labeling yourself then, you are identifying yourself, and now you take that on. So to go, I am feeling this, and this is why. And that gives them the space to be able to do that.
So
I wish you could see. I get the tap.
Yeah, well, I'm going to give you that. Let's go to Jules. She's got a question.
Should I read it?
Yes, please.
So Julie, I know you've just joined the Academy. Very honoured to have you in there. Find I am pedaling so hard to keep everything turning, trying to create something amazing, fulfill my purpose, but feel I'm going nowhere and not achieving what I desperately want to achieve. So many options being thrown my way, but unable to make sense of any of it. How do you pull everything back and prioritize what's important?
Great question.
Super question. Do you want to go?
You go first.
You don't know.
I
Oh, you did. I'll go.
Okay.
You sure?
One of the things that we, when we look at making decisions based upon, like, yes, there's always going to be opportunities and things come across your path. And what we have learnt is that sometimes it's the things that you actually say no to that create, you get to go narrow and deep with a few things versus scattering yourself across many. And I think, we've definitely juggled a lot of balls in the air at many times where it just didn't get any traction on any one of the things because we were half doing everything. And you can kind of, even though you might be drawn to lots of things because it inspires you and this could be amazing and this could be amazing, I think if you really want to create something meaningful and impactful, the more narrow you can be with your focus, the more you will be able to create and achieve and move forward with.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Nelly. A lot of this will be answered in the Academy, literally in the first lesson, because when you know your highest values, from most important through to least important, you'll start to see sometimes your own highest values, there can be conflict. An example might be what we just spoke about. Very important for us to live our life purpose, help as many people as they can to be empowered. And so we do that by living our highest purpose and inspire others to do the same. So our life purpose is high, but also right up there is family. And so minute to minute, day to day, if those two, I don't set the rules clearly between, I'm always going to feel like I'm not doing enough for my kids, or I'm with my kids, but I could be helping people. And so when you start to look at the values, and then you start to come up with the rules, and some of the rules are just so stupid. For example, for me to have really great family time, everyone has to be happy. And because I love being in the surf or being out in nature, like for me, it's fun to go for a 20-kilometer run. And kids, you come for a ride with me.
And they just like, I don't want to. And he just starts like fuming, his blood pressure goes up.
I may have had some
I wish I recorded it
because I left being a chiropractor to be here for you guys. You know how many dads right now would love to be with their children?
They're at work right now and you should be so grateful and you're not. Anyway, he's had his rants. But
and Kate is there and I kind of look up and I'm like,
oh my gosh.
I've become conscious. And so it's...
I had to do this.
No, don't.
I actually have... No, I should walk around the house with it. Just like to... No. Anyway.
You're not playing your cards right. You're not get lucky tonight.
That's okay. So anyway, but what Anthony ended up realizing is that for the kids, their version of being happy is it could be board games, it could be, a picnic, it could be going and climbing on the rocks. This one in board games and cards does not, he literally does not, I don't even know how you grew up.
What
it's
a waste
a part
of time.
life. Anyway, so then for Ant, when he started to realize, for me to create happy family, I actually need to do what they want to do, not what I want to do.
But it wasn't even that. It was, they actually don't need a lot of time.
No.
It's just the time that you have, you're doing really meaningful things with them. And when you're 100% present, you're not distracted, the phone's away, and you just give them your absolute all, it's like,
yeah.
I want to play with my friends now. I want to go do this.
And then you'd be like,
great.
well, initially you were like that. Now they're fulfilled and their tank is full, and so that's perfect.
But it brings up another point because so many people, their identity is their children.
Yeah.
Or
their safety blanket.
Right. And so that's all they've got. And so, quick story, when I was a chiropractor, a lady, going through her report and talking about kids, and she starts crying. And I said, oh, are these happy tears? Like, I didn't have kids yet, like no sensory awareness. So no. And she was already crying because she was picturing the day they moved out.
And they were like
they're
3
literally
or
like
something.
still nursing, and one's 3. Because her whole identity was being mum. And that's where it's very important that, okay, that's a part, that's one hat that you wear, but the greatest teacher, the greatest gift you can give your children is exemplification. Oh, you can do anything, sweetie. Anything you put your mind to, you can do that. And they're looking at you not doing that, it doesn't compute. And so if you're living your highest values, you're aspiring, you're on purpose, they will see that. And if you communicate with them and share life in their values, that'll be a beautiful relationship. And that is what will inspire them to follow their own inspired dreams.
So hopefully that helps, Jules. You'll definitely gain some more clarity as you get going through the academy. And then Kathy just asked, how do I join? If you go to empoweredlifestyleacademy.com, there is a link to be able to join us, Kathy. And it closes tomorrow night at midnight. So we'll just scroll down and see if there's any other questions.
You read so fast.
I'm amazing. All right. Can you read Soph's out?
I'm a 3-year-old. No, I have a 3-year-old. Sophie is not 3-year-old. Sophie is amazing.
She is amazing. In New Zealand, super mama.
Super mama, super business owner. I have a 3-year-old with a lot of initiative, leadership type qualities. She sounds like you.
We are one of those.
Quite controlling. She sounds etc. And I'm really struggling. How would you steer in the right direction for a 3-year-old? I don't want to put him into kindy, but I'm struggling to have enough going on for him.
Mm-hmm.
Again, values elicitation. And when you look at the questions, the values elicitation questions, you need to change them slightly. And so if someone is outcome based, like me, I'm the guy where the car pulls up and if it's halfway through the song, it's like, no, we got to finish the song before we hop out of the car. It's like completion is very important for me, all right? And so I'm task oriented, all right? Got to know the outcome and I've got to have that. So what I would say, Soph, is to actually give tasks and start to give autonomy. Start to not, and this was the thing that shifted for me. With Xavier, because I went straight to the military, best at training, best at most outstanding soldier. It's just like, go do the Hawaiian Ironman. A little extreme, I can admit that now. And here's my first son.
If we were dogs, he would be a boxer and I would be a golden retriever.
Yeah, we're getting our boxer this week.
Yeah, we are.
So anyway.
Sorry.
What was I talking about?
So you get your first son and he's not like you.
No. Can't kick a soccer ball. I'm like, come on, man.
He can, he just didn't want to.
Yeah, that's true. So I just had to shift. And the biggest thing for me was going, 2 people gave me beautiful feedback. One was the son itself when I was doing some plant medicine. And the son said to me, your son is my gift to you. You're not there to teach him, he is there to teach you. And I just laid there and sobbed and put my head in the dirt. But that was a really profound thing because I went from going, I need to parent him to go, I can learn as much. And how to actually just not parent and just take the guardrails and just a little bit where you can see, but sometimes it's just making your own challenges, own mistakes.
Like our daughter is a total boss. Like if she could, you'd just see her walking around with a clipboard and a checklist. Like just, what are we doing today? What's for dinner? And then what? And she's so challenging, but it's like, okay, what do we need to do to direct her? And Michael was kind of asking as well, how do we keep everyone content? When you realize and you learn how each of your little people tick, then it's a lot easier to give them direction, and we'll still teach the same lessons. So for example, we've been learning about the blue zone, so where the longest lived cultures are around the world. And so each of them are going to learn differently. One of them is going to write it all down and have a little checklist. Someone else is going to draw it, and someone else hates writing and he can articulate everything, but he is not going to write a thing. And so it's kind of like just showing them how to find their
last
ways.
week, we are getting a dog. We're genuinely getting a boxer. You will be spammed with pictures and whatnot next week. And so last week's assignment was we're getting a dog, and it's not about the dog, it's about us. Good humans have to be trained to know how to be good dog owners. And so I said, here's Caesar Milan, and they knew who that was, and I said, you need to watch a bunch of his episodes, and at the end of the week, you're going to do an assignment. And so at the end of the week, guess what? Xavier drew the dog, and that. Zara, she drew, and she loves writing, beautiful handwriting. Bodhi, nothing, all right? But he can repeat back verbatim everything. So he's more giving an oral presentation. But he's a little bit techie, so he does a bit of a slideshow. So it's just going, all right, what's some things that they're genuinely interested in, and just set them free and see what comes about. And some weeks I'm like, I'm still trying to deal with the old system. How much maths did they do? How much science did they do? But at the end of the week, I know that their ability to research, to report information, because this is the thing, like you have everything available there now. So your ability, and this is the thing, when we came up with their curriculum, what are the skills that are going to be important? Well, information is readily available. Your ability to find it proper, the real information, report it in different ways, whether it's verbal, through an assignment, through video. I think videography and all that's going to be super important. So it's more about that.
And just for you, Soph, with your little man, just kind of distinguishing what he really loves and sending out a plan or a little project for him to kind of work on and be doing. And obviously at 3, they're going to start lots of different things, but it's just trying to shape their little personalities without influencing who we think they should be, which can be challenging. So
2 questions, and then it's the Empower Hour, so about 6 minutes. So I'm going to go, Rob, I'll come back to your question, but Deborah says, with the Academy, could you please paint a picture of how it all works? Is there structure? Is it a weekly podcast, or am I already overwhelmed and scattered? So I wanted to make sure it's not all over the place. Just jump in and listen to anything you like. I've sent emails, they've bounced. We'll check into that. So the Academy, can we screen share?
Yes.
Kate will do the techie stuff, but I'll start describing.
It might not work on...
Sure, I'll describe it.
Yeah.
So we have the 7 laws of living an empowered life. And so one of them, do we have an image?
Yeah, I'm just trying.
Did you shh me?
I shushed you.
Oh my goodness.
Here, I'll do this instead.
I am disabling that thing. So the 7 laws. The first one is mission, vision, purpose. And so I'll recover them. So mission, vision, purpose. The second one is spiritual awakening, but in a way where we're looking at ancient wisdom to solve modern day problems. So some people have an affinity towards the Bible. Some people have an affinity towards the Hawaiian culture. Some Indigenous Australians, some Native American Indians. They got it right. They lived for tens of thousands of years with nature in harmony, and there's so much we can learn. And some of the most pivotal moments we've had is where we've got to sit around a fire with some Aboriginal elders and just listen to what life was like and their stories. And it affected us, it affected our children, and it was a huge catalyst for us taking them out of school. So we glean a lot from that. And then the next law is radiant vitality. So it's everything to do with your innate intelligence and honoring it. Once you comprehend it, and you don't need to control it, kind of like your children, and you just look at it and observe it and honor it, and the body needs no help, it just needs no interference. Mm-hmm. And there is so much interference. You look at where we live, what we're in touch with, electromagnetic radiation, Wi-Fi, dirty electricity, all of these things that we're putting in and on us and we're bathing in that's killing us. So we do a thing called a toxic risk index, and that's where you start to get an idea of what are the weak points that you need to address. And then that moves on to
I'll bring it up in just a sec.
Wealth, yeah. And so looking at your relationship with money. And so for some people, it's like money is dirty, money doesn't grow on trees, all of these things.
Okay.
That money is a magnifier. Back to front.
It's actually working.
Oh.
Here we go. Here, should we put on your face or my face?
Money is a magnifier. Oh, living in love. That's the next. Yeah.
Sorry.
I can't wait.
All right, I'll be good.
So, mission, vision, purpose, spiritual awakening, living in love. If I said to you right now, what's your greatest source of stress? And I would say, Kate. It's usually a person. Your ability to, can you stop moving the screen?
It's not. No, it's okay.
Your ability to have relationship with yourself. Again, you have values conflicts going on that's creating all of your stress. And then your inability to honor other people's highest values causes all of your stress. And so once you get your relationships right, and you're continuously looking at to be in a state of love, then we move into radiant vitality, then we go on to abundant wealth. And so abundant wealth is your relationship with currency, looking at the evolution of currency, comprehending the banking system, how it actually works, looking at multiple streams of that. But this is where each of the different laws builds into the next. So if you already know your mission, vision, purpose, because your highest values and what's most important to you and where you want to spend more of your time, then we start to look at, well, how can you spend more time doing that which you love, that lights you up, and getting handsomely paid for it. So to the observer, I don't know if they're working or playing, because they look like they're having a lot of fun while they're working, and they're creating income from that.
Yeah.
The other thing we look at is your structure, because the way most people set that up is they're channeling the currency through banks, listen to the verbiage, to places that they don't know where it's going. Whereas if you can channel your productivity of labor because of certain ways that you set things up, you get to not keep it, you get to contribute it to what you want. And that alone will more than cover your investment financially into the program. Then we go into rights. And I've interviewed some really cool people who have been at this game way, way longer than us. So the next one is then leading a legacy, and that's finding a cause bigger than you. So this is a revolution. So every week we dive into one of the topics. And so we'll do 3 topics and then a live Q&A, kind of like this. And then the next month we keep going around. So every revolution you dive deeper and deeper. So you can take them down now.
Okay. So
the way it works, we release the content, you go through it at your own pace, okay? There'll be about 3 hours worth of content for the month, plus the Q&A, and then it's still the 80-20 rule. The 20% is the content, but it's then your application of that.
Yeah.
So half people join for that, half people join for the community. So you've got people who are just already on top of their game. They're inspired. We learn from them. They are in there and they're just looking for community of other people who are going to hold them to a high level. Then you've got people who are wanting to learn and grow in one of those areas and they're in there. So I hope that makes sense. There is definitely structure. We definitely guide you as you come in. We give you specific questionnaires to help you identify where are you in each of those areas, and then categorically how we continue to grow.
Well, I think for a lot of people, if you're feeling some agitation or frustration in the current stage of life that you're at, and you want to move forward, like what Julie was saying before, she's got all these opportunities coming her way. If you don't know where you are right now, it's really hard to then plan what the next step is. So it's good to kind of get a baseline and go, okay, well, these areas or these laws are really strong in my life, and these ones I'm really not strong at, and what do I need to do to empower myself there? And some of us are just doing things trying to get better at it, and it's not a strength of ours, and it's never going to be. So it's just good to understand, where you're starting from, so you can plan where you want to go.
So jump in, guys. Honestly, it's 37 Aussie dollars a month. So cost of a smoothie a week, I guess. As I said, if it's finances are the challenge, I know if you follow the principles in there, you will more than recoup that. I'm even going to say 10x it. So there's no time limit. Hop in, don't like it, leave. That's fine. And
but
then
the doors close tomorrow midnight, so
we
Monday
only do
the 14th.
Yeah, we only do 2 intakes per year because everyone kind of comes in together, and then they're like a class that moves through the modules at the same time. Because then in the community, everyone's focusing on the same thing. And the other thing for the founding members and the people already in is we're starting a book club. So we'll recommend either a podcast or something. And so that way, the people who want to be part of that, they can jump in and learn. It'll be around the topics that we covered in that. So super, super cool. We love it. It's really, we love being able to not teach, because learning is remembering, but just help unveil, help shine awareness on people so they can start peeling back the layers and get to the core of who they are.
Awesome, Amanda.
And so I promised to Rob.
Oh yes, to tell your story. You can
my
do that.
story.
I'll
So, in the army, playing soccer, lifeguarding, redlining, and wake up one day, excruciating headache. Headaches were not abnormal for me. But this one was different. So by the end of the day, I'm literally on the ground, rolling, pulling wads of hair out. The headache was so intense. I go to the hospital as I go to...
the medicine cabinet in your home was pretty common, and your mum gave you all of the painkillers that you could, then nothing
dented it.
Yeah.
So I go to get in the car, and as I go to get in, I'm tall, so I go to duck, and my neck wouldn't bend. So I've literally whacked my head on the door frame, and get to hospital. They were incredible. Very fast, diagnosed what was going on. And I tell that because obviously my model of health and wellness is around vitalism, function, not so much mainstream, but there's places where it's life-saving. Emergency care. I would not be here to tell this story if that wasn't a phenomenal experience. So now I had meningococcal. So we were already dating, not long, but I remember coming to 2-3 days later, and Kate's there, and she's like, "Do you know what you have?" And I was like, "No." "You got meningococcal." And I started laughing, not the right response. So I've still got my arms and legs. Anyway, I was still obviously heavily medicated.
It was Valentine's Day, I'll never forget, and I just was bawling my eyes out because we had been surrounded by people in head to toe, protective clothing, and within the hospital that week...
Like HazChem suits.
Yeah, within the hospital that week, I think it was 3 other people had passed away, and it was really scary, and... he had no idea the brevity of the situation and what we had gone through while he was not conscious. So
it literally just happened like that.
Yeah.
And so, meningococcal, a lot of people carry it in your nose and throat. When your immune system is so compromised, it'll cross the blood-brain barrier. So that's a barrier between, so it's your brain and your central nervous system that is the master control that continually gives life and regulates the rest of you. So that intelligence has put a nice barrier around that. So if you do get some kind of infection, it doesn't cross the blood-brain barrier. But this does when it's compromised, as through your nose and throat. So I literally, shaken up, out, neck pain, back pain, and soccer was my everything at that point, and I couldn't head the ball. So I was just like, I guess I'll go to a chiropractor. They're the back doctors, right? And I walked into this chiropractic center, and you have a preconception of what it's going to be like, and you do this, where you're going to go to somewhere and you already practice answering what you think they're going to ask you, right? It's the weirdest thing. And so I've got all this down, what I'm going to say and what I think's going to ask, and I get in there, and the first thing I notice is there's like nanas walking by each other in the hallway, like high-fiving each other, and there's little babies crawling around. And I'm like, this is different. And I'm looking at the eyes of everyone. They're just like, they seem a little bit more alive as a subset of the population. So I was just, I literally in that moment had this thought of, I think I want to be a chiropractor. And I thought that I thought it, but actually said it, and the chiropractor was there. And he's going, that's awesome. There's a seminar this weekend, I'll take you along. And I'm like, okay. So that was my first interaction.
And then
so
from that moment,
that was the Monday.
Yeah.
And then Kate came back in for the report on the Wednesday to see the x-rays. And so she's sitting there and she's like, I think I want to get my spine checked. And then on the, I think on that Wednesday, he's like, do you have a girlfriend? Do you love her? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. Like, do you think you're going to marry her? I was like, oh God, I don't know. Well, why are you asking? Well, if you're going to be a chiropractor, she has to understand the philosophy of this. So look, just bring her along. So anyway, he takes us to this seminar on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday of that very first week. So that's my introduction.
It was amazing.
And we sat there just in tears listening to these chiropractors from all over the world share their story of healing and where it comes from.
The power of
and
the
it was
body.
not about chiropractors being a back doctor. It was about honoring the intelligence. And as you release the stress off the nervous system, the body heals itself. So we were just lit up. Like Kate's like, that's it. And she considered being a chiropractor, but her ability to run centers, speak on behalf, connect with mothers. And so we literally went off to, I was doing exercise science at the time, finished that degree, went off to Melbourne. And throughout our 5 years in Melbourne, we actually ran our own chiropractic center. So the chiropractor who I saw, he saw something in us that we didn't see in ourselves. I was honestly just like a 19-year-old pimply, surfy kid, no idea where I was going. I think he saw something in Kate, honestly. And so he said, you're going to be in Melbourne for 5 years. Why don't we open a chiropractic center together?
Love you, Aaron.
And I said, I don't think I can do that. I don't think I should be adjusting people yet. He's like, no. I'll hire the chiropractor, but you run it. So Kate ran the office, I did the marketing. I was the guy out in shopping centers going, oh, love that, beautiful. If you ever had your spine check, come on over here, and I'd check their posture and send them in, and just, we were crazy. But it gave us the skills and the talent and the ability to communicate with people and communicate health, what it really was. And so I like telling the story, and thank you for asking, Rob, because I nearly died. It was my lowest of low moment, but it was the catalyst for the new opportunity. And I want you to hear this because someone's hearing this right now who needs to hear it. Whatever is happening, you didn't lose your job. You're not in financial crisis. You are continually guided to get back on your path. And there is no mistakes. Life is happening for you, not to you. And so I want you to hear that. If you're at the lowest of low, bounce off that because the future is much, much brighter. And so you can continue telling a story, and it's the only thing that's stopping you from your next beautiful chapter is the story you keep telling about the crappy last chapter. So if you start getting into the resources that we've been, that's why I did the vision workshop. Because if you have a compelling vision and you see it, you feel it, you taste it, you smell it, it will surely come to pass. That's why we put the I'm Brave together. That's why we put the parenting workshop to help people guide them. So that's why putting the rights together, because if you actually comprehend your rights and what's available, you have a sense of peace and calm that that's not a distraction anymore. And you don't get sucked into the media hype. You don't get sucked into the other side of the equation, which is the hype about, oh, we're getting bullied and victim. You're not. No one's taking your rights. If you don't know your rights, you have none. So you get those squared away so you can get back to living your life purpose. And then when you have this incredible vision, you will choose to put the right things in your body because you don't want to compromise your energy tomorrow to turn up and deliver, to be the best you can for your kids or for your purpose or to create that vegetable garden or to write that book. And so this is why we love the Academy, because we get to pour into people, anyone who wants to listen. And if they hear just one thing, one distinction that puts them on their trajectory, that's what lights us up.
Absolutely. And I think, there's a lot of people walking around the world right now that feel like a victim to circumstance. And I know in the moment when that was going on, it was rock bottom. It was one of the worst moments in our life. And then time passes and you look back and it's like, wow. And so I bet there's been some pivotal moments in your life that you can look back on now and go, that was a game changer. I'm so glad that boss fired me, or that relationship ended, or that I missed the bus and I met that person instead, or whatever it is. There's so many gifts that sometimes if we are just too busy being busy, we don't actually take enough time to slow down, stop, see it, and have some gratitude for it. So there's been so many things that have happened in our journey that we've been able to look back on and just see the gift and the blessing in it. But you can either walk through life, as you say, that we can either see that everything is a miracle or nothing is. And we can either walk through life and going, you know what? I am a victor. I can create the life that I want to, and I'm ready to step up and step into my next level of greatness, or I can walk around and just be an Eeyore and a victim to circumstance. And we all get to choose what that looks like. And I hope that you choose, stepping out for yourself and your family and the ones that you love.
So thanks, guys, for investing an hour of your time with us. We hope you took something from this, and if what we've said does strike a chord with you, it resonates with you, please jump into the Academy. Or if you've got questions, get them answered.
Yeah, just let us know.
Thank you, Crystal. I'm envying the pictures you've been taking, camping and surfing, and very cool.
Amazing.
All right, guys.
Everyone. Thanks for being on with us tonight. Lots of love. And we'll be doing the Empower Hour on a regular basis. We're excited to be just jumping in and hanging out with you guys. So thanks for jumping on.
Sweet dreams.
All right. Good night.